My name is Cheb Chelios, and today is the day that I die.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today we're here to talk about 2006's Crank and its new 4K Blu-ray that just came out from Lionsgate. But before we dive into all that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, podcasts, and we also do some lists here on the channel. If you are a fan of all of that, then nothing helps this channel out more than by you simply liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So Crank was released in 2006. It's directed by Mark Neveldine and Brian Taylor, and this was their directorial debut, and they really didn't do too much. They did this, Crank 2, and they actually did, I believe, the sequel to Ghost Rider, so I'm guessing that between those three films, they said, we're done with this one. But Crank was a really big film back in 2006. I remember when this was coming out, and then when it did come out, how excited everybody was. Everyone was just blown away by this movie. It seems to be a little bit forgotten at this point, but Jason Statham stars as Chef Chelios, an English hitman, and one day he wakes up and it turns out that he has been poisoned with what they call the Beijing cocktail. So basically, if he doesn't keep his adrenaline running, he is going to die. And that's the plan. Now, why these guys chose to do this instead of just killing him when he had the chance, I guess is that old-fashioned supervillain thing where it's like, I'd rather torture him than actually just let him die, even though I easily could kill him right now. So, unfortunately, that's where they slip up. They don't realize who they're messing with. Jason Statham wakes up and he gets a hold of his people and they tell him, hey, you just got to keep going, keep moving. So he's like, he's doing coke. He's just basically just running around this city, stealing cars, stealing motorcycles, doing every little bit he can. This movie is just over the top, ridiculous action. This is what I call a junk action movie. These are the kind of action movies that I actually like because they never take themselves too seriously. And, they're going for it. Like, it's so uniquely shot. It was very unique at the time. It kind of reminds me a little of Run Lola Run from 1998, where like everything is just so kinetic, down and dirty, gritty. They're using handheld cameras pretty much the whole time. This was the beginning of like the digital camera age. That was a big deal. They were pushing this at the time. Like, this is going to be one of the first movies shot in HD. And it really shows on the screen. It's a very uniquely looking movie. It's original to itself. And again, it doesn't take itself too seriously. My favorite part in this movie, out of all the ridiculous things in this movie, is when he's in the back of a cab and Billy Ray Cyrus says, "Don't tear my heart.
My achy, breaky heart, I just don't think you might just blow up and kill this man.
My achy, breaky heart." And he's just trying to keep himself going the whole time. And then, obviously, what most people probably remember as far as ridiculous stuff that happens in this movie, when both Jason Statham and Amy Smart's characters, to keep going, what keeps your adrenaline going? Then having a little bit of sex, and then these two end up banging and just defacing this United States post office box in front of a crowd of people. And what blew my mind here was that the amount of people that just kept walking by. Jason Statham and Amy Smart are banging on this mailbox, and everyone just keeps walking by like everything, like nothing's happened. Some people form a crowd, but some people are like, man, Los Angeles, right? People can't even get a room and they just keep going by. And it's just, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, if I saw that, would I keep walking? Probably not. And again, you're not supposed to take pretty much anything serious in this movie. It's just over the top. Like, I don't think anything like this could possibly happen. Actually, Glenn Howerton from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the actor who plays Dennis, pops up in here. I didn't even remember that he was in this movie. He's got a beard. And he, at one point, Jason Statham, he's like, "Shock me." And he like gives him the, the pedals to the chest to like regenerate his heart. He's got to keep his heart going. And again, this movie has such cool shots throughout. We get a lot of those shots of animated shots of his heart beating and everything like that. So we keep bouncing between that to see his heart keep going, or like when it's about to stop and he like starts to get all, woozy and
I'm feeling woozy, yeah.
passing out and everything like that. And it's just entertaining. This movie's 88 minutes long. We are in it from the beginning. It never stops. We slow down maybe to take like a half a breath, but it never slows down other than that. There's not a lot of character development. It's really just junk action. You're just here to see these cool action set pieces. Some of the best are with a police motorcycle or a car running through a mall. And then the very end of this movie with a helicopter. And Jason Statham did all of these stunts himself, which is incredible. He, that's how you get all those close-up shots and everything like that, because you actually have the actor doing the stunts. So even at the time when we were having like the Bourne movies where we were having all those jump cuts and shaky cam, there's a little bit of, because this is shot on handheld where there is a bunch of that going on, but you can actually get the shots of Jason Statham's face because there are a ton of close-ups of the actors, and you can just see the sweat and the heat because it makes Los Angeles look just gritty and ugly, whereas Los Angeles can be so photogenic, but in this movie, it's really not. They do such a phenomenal job shooting this movie. It's not the best looking movie ever, but it's so cool and works perfect for what the movie Crank is. And, you know, that's exactly what they were going for. Something that's unique looking. Because, yes, you'll know that this is Crank when you're watching it. It's not the most beautiful movie. Don't expect to go into this with get a bunch of shots where you can just take a screenshot of that and then take a picture of it and put it on your wall. No, that's not this kind of movie. But what it is going for, they nail 110%. Crank is one of those movies that if you're bored and you want to just watch something, get in and out, you'll have a great time with it. Don't take it too seriously because the film itself doesn't take itself too seriously. It's just an entertaining, fun movie that I think that if you haven't seen it, you'll definitely enjoy it.
Now, I've got 1 hour to settle the score.
But we're also here today to talk about the new 4K Blu-ray that just came out from Lionsgate. And this one, man, what a surprise. So this one's really cheap right now. The slipcover version is only $15 at this very moment. And the Steelbook version, I think, is still about $20. And I actually ordered that Steelbook because I do love what Lionsgate does with their 4K Steelbooks, which is they put these very unique slipcovers on. I'm going to show you guys right now what they did with this, where you pull it up, and you get the underneath skeleton, and you get on the front of it, you know, just regular Jason Statham. You know, that wraps around all the way to the back. And then when you pop it open, you get two cool individual disc designs. And if you look, they made it look like an anime on the inside. So again, this movie's not taking itself too seriously. I love what Lionsgate did with the Steelbook. It's pretty much a perfect design. Lionsgate does some of the best Steelbooks as far as major studio releases go. We've been talking about that for a while here on the channel. We just love everything they do. Putting these slip covers over the Steelbook is the perfect thing because a lot of people get upset when you lose the stats on the back of a Steelbook when it's just a regular Steelbook. And Lionsgate managed to get the best of both worlds. And I love what they're doing. I think it's an amazing packaging. I think it's honestly some of the best work. If you can get this Steelbook, I definitely say go for that. There is a regular standard 4K release that's only $15, but if you're a fan of this movie and you are planning on getting this 4K, I really recommend this Steelbook. I think it's beautiful. It also came with a digital code if you're a fan of digital codes. And again, we just saw you get a 4K disc and a Blu-ray disc. That Blu-ray is the previously released Blu-ray from 2007. So when you go in there, you're going to get that old 2007 menu system where you can actually turn off the menu effects in there, which is pretty damn cool. And I assume that all the extras were going to be on that Blu-ray disc, but no, you get the same extras on the Blu-ray discs that you get on the 4K disc. And that's most likely because it's 88 minutes long and there's plenty of extra room on that 4K disc to put all the extras on there. So either whichever disc you choose to watch, you can get all the same extras, and there's some pretty good ones. Obviously, it's like getting into a time machine and listening to the directors talk just about things that were going on in 2006. They're both wearing like truckers hats. So if you guys remember Punk, that was a big thing back in the mid-2000s. They're talking about HD. They never even refer to shooting on digital. They just say, oh yeah, we're shooting on HD. They even have the Comic-Con thing where they announced that. Like, that was a big deal back in 2006. If you guys remember that the Xbox 360 just came out, the PS3 was coming out at the time, and this was the rise of HD. Everything was, you know, HD TVs. We were shooting in 720p. Everything was on the rise back in 2006, and that's what they were just promoting huge. I remember WWE transferred to HD at the time. They never said what it was, like how they do now. It was just, oh, we're going to high definition. That's even what the directors are talking about. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the Blu-ray itself, because of that, actually looks really good. It's not the biggest jump, and this is an old Blu-ray. Like I said, a 2007 scan, so it's almost now 16 years old. And for them to jump to 4K, you're expecting a really big jump, but that's not the case, and that's kind of the reason why when they shoot on digital cameras, it's very hard to improve on it. And that's why you usually see the biggest jump in quality when we go from film to 4K, is because film, it was already in probably the highest quality we could possibly get, and now transferring it to 4K is almost like downgrading it. Where digital, it was shot in HD, so it already has really good source material, so when you put that on a Blu-ray disc, now we're just upscaling it to 4K, and we put Dolby Vision and HDR10 on there because we get them both on the disc. So yes, it does clean up a lot, but you're not going to notice the biggest jump. The blacks are going to look deeper in scenes. It's going to look crisper. The scene in the mall with the with the car that he ends up flipping over in the mall. That scene looked beautiful. You see the reflections off the car while it's driving in there, off the police car. That scene was probably the best looking to showcase how good the visuals are in this movie. Or actually the scene where, you know, he ends up doing coke off the floor. On the Blu-ray, it kind of looked gray in there, but on the 4K, it was a deep black. You get the smoke in the background because the one guy's smoking, and it just creates like this hazy effect that looks really good on the 4K, where on the Blu-ray, it kind of looked like the scene was a little bit blown out, I like to say, because it wasn't black. It was more like a gray, so that kind of looked a little bit off. But other than that, you know, it's very comparable, especially in the opening scenes. You won't really notice too big of a difference. So if you have the previous Blu-ray, which does come in here, it's not going to be the world's biggest jump to 4K, but it's still a jump. It's still a pretty high quality visuals. Yes, the old visuals were pretty good, and it was probably a showpiece for Blu-ray at the time. Like I said, that was a pretty big deal when this came out as far as the visuals go, because it was unique, original at the time. We've seen people try and copy this effect now, but at the time, again, it was impressive, and it's still impressive to this day, bringing it to 4K. If you don't have this, $15 to get a visual upgrade, I still think it's enough. But what you also get on here, that's probably the shining star of the whole piece, is you get a brand new Dolby Atmos track. And for an action movie like this that's always going, you're going to want that Atmos track, and it's a solid 5 out of 5. Maybe not reference quality, but a damn good Atmos track, and a big jump from the previous Blu-rays tracks, which actually had a 6.1 PCM on there that they were promoting. So it wasn't like they weren't trying with that Blu-ray, but they really did go all out on this Atmos track. And this is the kind of movie that deserves a good Atmos track, because it's action heavy. It's got a lot of music in it. It's got a lot of score. You know, you want to feel like it's kinetically paced, and the score is going to do a big job of doing that and making you feel like and getting invested into this movie. It does a phenomenal job with that. What a very solid Atmos track. It's going to give your system a workout, and I have no issues with it. It's almost perfect. It's just not the best, and that's not its fault. It's just, you know, some movies work better, some movies end up with better Atmos tracks, but this one does a really good job. It's just not the best I've ever heard, like I said, but it's still a really good Atmos track. And combine that with the very solid amount of extras that you do get, the same extras on both the Blu-ray and the 4K, a bunch of featurettes. I really think that was awesome. This is a really solid release from Lionsgate, and Lionsgate really does do some really quality releases at a very fair price. I complain a lot about Paramount on here, or Warner Brothers, like skipping out and just throwing in their second Blu-ray disc, or not even including the second Blu-ray disc at all, whereas Lionsgate gave us a Steelbook, a regular release at the same time, and you get 2 discs, the 4K and the Blu-ray. You get unique packaging, individual disc design, like you get the works, all of the extras, nothing's cut out. You know, they really did have the collector in mind with this, and at the price, it is a steal. So if I'm going to rate Crank out of a score of 10, I'm going to really give this a 9 out of 10. I only take a point off because it's just not the best. I can't give everything 10s, but it's a really solid release. I'm very happy with my purchase. If you are a fan of Crank and you have that previous Blu-ray, it's a little bit tougher of a sell to say you have to upgrade, because you're not going to see the biggest jump. But if you're a fan of the movie and you can get your hands on this 4K Steelbook, I really think you'll be very happy that you did, because they really did put a lot of effort into the package design here. And when companies do that, I really like to highlight it, because it just impresses me, and it really just shows how much they care about the collector. So definitely, if you can get your hands on this 4K Steelbook, do that. But any which way you get it, I really do think it's a solid purchase. But it's also Friday, so before we get out of here today, we have our digital code giveaway. So in every video that comes out on Friday, I will ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one of those questions in the comment section below, and as long as you do that, you come back to Monday's video. We spin the wheel 2 times, and the 2 names that it lands on, they have their choice of the digital codes that you see on your screen before you today. Crank is going to be going into the rotation, so that's up for grabs. So what are this week's 2 digital code giveaway questions? Well, this was a really popular action movie back in the 2000s, so I thought I'd ask you guys, what is your favorite 2000s action movie? That's from 2000 to 2009. Any action film that came out then. Maybe the 2000s didn't hit the highs of the 80s and 90s as far as action go, but this is the rise of Nolan, so we got plenty of great action films that in the 2000s, and I'm wondering, what is your favorite? Kind of in a weird coincidence, I've been watching a lot of Jason Statham movies between the Fast movies. I watched The Italian Job last week, and I was wondering, what do you guys think of Jason Statham? What's your favorite Jason Statham movie? Were you guys a fan of the Transporter movies when those first came out? I know those are very popular, and then obviously into Crank, and then Jason Statham became one of the world's biggest action stars. I like it when Jason Statham actually kind of shifts away from the stereotypical angry British guy that he plays in a lot of movies, and it just looks like he's having a lot of fun. I think F. Gary Gray really captures that with him in the movies like The Italian Job or The Fate of the Furious, where, you know, you just let Jason Statham have a good time, and I like it when we see that. Although he is having a phenomenal time in Crank, because you have to be making a movie like this. So anyway, guys, those are this week's 2 digital code giveaway questions. Whatever your answers are, leave those in the comment section below. And don't forget to come back to Monday's video where we will put your name on a magic wheel, spin that 2 times, and we will pick 2 lucky winners. And also, guys, thank you so much for being here on another episode of Let's Talk. I really do appreciate all of your support. If you want to keep supporting this channel, nothing supports this channel out more than by simply liking this video and subscribing to the channel. And if you want to grab Crank on 4K, I do have an Amazon affiliate link. You can grab it through there. It costs you no extra money, and it does help the channel out so we can keep making these 4K videos. Anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and have a good day. We'll be seeing you around.